Dan Perry's a former chief editor at the AP Middle East, publishes now on Substack, Ask Questions Later, live from Tel Aviv. Always good to have Dan. All right, I don't know if you saw everything the president said a few minutes ago. His intelligence community comments are obviously getting a lot of attention in terms of whether we have the intelligence, what the timing is, and he apparently is not a fan of his own director of national intelligence, which people do, but he added to it. But also the timing of his decision. He's going to, quote unquote, give them some time. You know, it's not. Where's this all going, do you think?
I think it's very dangerous for Trump to set a 2-week window. I think Israel has done much of what they can do, and to enable this to come to an end with something resembling a declaration of victory or a taking of a win would require probably the disabling of the deeply embedded underground plant at Fordo. And Israel can't easily take it out because they don't have the bunker-busting bombs that only the Americans have. So clearly the Israelis' hope was that if their first week would have been as successful as it has been, and the Iranians are so much on their back foot as they are, then America would deliver the coup de grace, and then everyone declares victory and maybe lives to fight another day. This idea of a 2-week window, it could be misdirection, it could be disinformation. Who knows? Maybe the Americans attack tomorrow. But it's extremely risky because every day that passes brings diminishing returns, where the Israelis probably can't do that much more than they've done without maybe going to a different phase where they attack, government installations. But that's not currently, regime change is not currently the goal of the operation. So it's kind of plateauing their operation. They're sort of waiting. Meanwhile, every day brings the risk of a mass casualty event in Israel because 5% of the rockets are getting through, and eventually one of them is going to kill a whole bunch of people and cause the Israelis to have to escalate. And that's very bad. I don't see why they want to wait 2 weeks. It is very bizarre, and it starts to look like Trump was making threats, but sort of doesn't want to pull the trigger. By the way, there's a legitimate alternative to just going ahead and joining the Israeli attack, which is to say, okay, Iranians, you are asking for renewed negotiations, fine. And they call off the dogs, and in that renewed negotiation, be tough and lay down an ultimatum. And that ultimatum needs to be not just for them to essentially dismantle Fordo without having it be bombed, but also to end their maniacal project of supporting militias all over the Middle East, destabilizing every Arab country from Lebanon and Syria to Yemen and Iraq.
The Israeli go it alone, to go back to that for a moment, is intriguing to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, Trump had a direct quote saying that Israel has limited capacity. Okay, he's just said that a few moments ago when someone asked him whether Netanyahu could kind of do this without the United States. I did have, and I want to ask you about whether this is getting any play or any attention over there, an ex-IDF guy on about an hour ago or so, and he was saying, well, there have been operations run by Israel, like special ops, where they could send troops in, like their equivalent of our SEALs or whatever it is, to go in and do it without a bunker buster bomb. Is that something you think is being given serious consideration? Because that might be, an ex-U.S. or without U.S. operation.
It's extremely dangerous. And yes, I've heard this idea as well. And Israel has in the past trained various elite commandos to go into Arab countries and take out nuclear facilities, in particular in the case of Iraq, about 34 years ago. It's conceivable, and they have several units that might be able to do this, but they're talking about a significant amount of Israeli boots on the ground, something that has been avoided other than, special agents, but they haven't had troops on the ground, and that could go south very, very quickly. I'm sure they want to avoid this, but yes, that is an alternative, and that would involve the Israelis landing in Iran, attacking Fordo, creating a perimeter, going into the mountain and fighting door to door in this installation. I mean, it would be ridiculous, but not completely inconceivable.
One last thing, Dan, there, since you're in Tel Aviv, what sense can you tell us? You were telling us earlier, and you're right, that it's only a matter of time, and I know some have already gotten through that there's, something really bad could happen if you don't have a facility like hospital, whatever it is, evacuated. What's it been like today? Again, in and out for you folks of shelter?
Yeah, there was a major attack on central Tel Aviv, which is where I live, around 3 p.m. And I can tell you, we were in shelter, and there were bombs exploding overhead, Connell, that sounded like they were 100 yards above our heads. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And we're talking about interceptions that happen like in the skies over where you live. It can be absolutely unsettling. and of course, you have had like 2 dozen casualties. But my family and I have a shelter. You see it right there.
Yeah.
And we've been lucky so far. And, most people in Israel have been lucky so far, but luck eventually runs out. So, like I say, I'm in no way sanguine about the danger.
All right. We always love and appreciate your analysis, but we also wish you the best and all the safety. Thank you, Dan.